true. Now let's talk about the money like it's a payday now. You know how much money I'd make if I was the KJ route? Shoot, KJ told me to do it, but where's KJ now? No diss to him, but he told me there's no way this could work out.
Hey, man, big shout out to you. Thank you for jumping on here. This is the KJ52 podcast. I'm doing my first ever, and I figured I would rock this with the homie who put me up on this platform. It's called Anchor, and we're going to try this out a little bit. So me and you have been talking off the record via text message, fax machine, pagers, smoke signals.
Yep.
I think I sent you a carrier pigeon to ask your opinion at this at one point.
Got it.
But so right now, man, we're just two regular guys on the sidelines while this Christian hip hop civil war is going on. What's going on, man? It's like
yeah, it's crazy.
People are launching Molotov cocktails at each other. I saw a reform guy going down the street. His head was on fire. Charismatic Christian rapper was behind him with a hatchet. The streets ain't safe.
They're not safe at all, man. Not at this particular time.
The war going on outside.
Yeah,
nobody's safe.
Where you safe from? R.I.P.
Yeah.
Proud of you.
So anyway, I'm working on this podcast idea because I'm leading up to this documentary that's going to be going down about my life, my story, my music, and it kind of starts way back where my story starts, but then kind of jumps in the mid-2000s or the 2000s when I got started. That's kind of actually when I met you, too. And then it kind of splashes forward to where I'm at now. So, like, what does it mean to be a 40-something-year-old Christian rapper, hanging on barely hanging on for relevancy, just, getting battled by these little kids every night, you know what I mean? Just yelling at kids on my porch with my Tribe Called Quest shirt on. Get off my lawn, you little mumble rapper. Actually, none of that is happening. But, no, anyway, so leading up to the documentary is kind of about my life and my story and stuff like that. And so you'd hit me a couple days ago. You're like, bro, what happened? And honestly, I barely knew what had happened, too, because I don't really keep myself in a lot of that stuff in those circles. But I mean, I do. I shouldn't say I don't. Right. I don't want to be like the coy, super petty guy, but I'm busy out here just doing what God has called me to do. So I try to stay away from a lot of drama. But I guess it all started with Shy Lynn with his newest record, talking to Christian hip hop as a whole, and
Lecrae and Reach Records.
Specifically. Right. Yeah. You could read between the lines. It wasn't hard.
Right.
And then, kind of asking for, or I should say, very much challenging people to repent of their behavior, things like that. And this was kind of followed up with a response from Ruslan, which, I'll be honest, man, this is going to sound like old man talk, but I've been around long enough to see multiple things like this. This is nothing new. I've seen this all the way back in the mid-'90s when I first started, and none of this ever de-escalates to a pretty place. It usually escalates to critical mass.
Yeah.
And so when I saw this going down, I'm like, well, I already know how this is going to go. I read this story before.
Yeah, it's happened.
But
it's happened.
There was a couple bars in Ruslan's song that he name-checked me.
Shots fired.
Somebody had mentioned this to me, and I'm like, that's got to be a joke, right? Because I was like, why would I even be, in the middle of this?
Yeah.
I'm like Switzerland, man. Anyway. Lo and behold, he dropped a couple lines in there, and I honestly, after the first time hearing it, did not take it as a diss. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I guess I could take the part where he says, where's KJ now? I guess if I was, like, really in my feels, I would take that personally, like, bro, I'm right here. Didn't go anywhere.
Right.
But I'm, my thing is, I'm like, whether I'm on your radar or not doesn't affect what I do. I'm going to keep doing what I do. But before I jump into any of my particular feelings about this, I'm just curious, what's your take on this and what, you kind of jumped in the 2000s, it seems like. So you've seen some of this holy war. You've seen some of the holy war play out.
I have, man. And it's crazy because the last, when I started being more consistent with Anchor about a month ago, I started broadcasting, and it stemmed from me playing records from 2003, 2004, 2005, like around the time I met you, just that place that I was in, mentally. It was just this nostalgic type situation where I was like, man, I want to broadcast about Christian hip hop and play music from that era. Simple as that. And that kind of turned into me, discussing topics in and around Christian hip hop. Like I had you on talking about the Christian bookstore. And so I started like really thinking like, what is God doing? And I started really diving back in because I'm like you, I don't really see a lot of that stuff. I started diving back into the Christian hip hop scene, just kind of paying attention, intentionally being intentional and paying attention to what's going on. And I thought, well, maybe this is a way for me to start some healthy conversation about Christian hip hop to move things forward. Maybe God has wanted me to help in that to move things forward. And mind you, my mindset prior to that was the complete opposite of that. Like in my thinking, as far as where Christian hip hop was, I was kind of like, well, I felt like it was over. Just the idea. I don't mean the mission, but just the idea of Christian hip hop, just what it has come to be known for. And so I was hopeful, and then last week this stuff started happening. Like you said, it's a replay of what we had seen in the past a little bit, just the whole like tunnel rats, cross movement. There's a number of different artists that were involved in like this. I don't want to call it beef. It's not real beef, but just as back and forth about methods and doctrine and a number of things. So we had seen this before, but I don't feel like it's ever been this. Especially with social media, I don't feel like it's ever been this direct.
Like, can we go to what's it called?
Like it's been really, really direct here lately, and so I had the thought after I hit you about the Ruslan thing. I was like, man, I used to talk about this a lot. And I look back, and I remembered in 2013, I did an interview. You remember Sean Slaughter, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
He had a show called Wasn't a Ham Sandwich, and I did an interview with him. And I know this is a long story to get to what you want me to talk about, but I did an interview with him where he asked me where Christian hip hop would be in 5 years, and I said, well, in 10 years, I don't think it's going to exist. And I kind of elaborated on that, meaning I didn't think the idea of it. I thought that God was going to basically blow it up. Not, I'm about to blow up. Not like that. Like, he was going to destroy what is taking place in just the industry, the surface level stuff. The mission is still the same. And when the dust clears, there'll be people that love Jesus, that communicate through hip-hop, that'll still be going strong, like. But there will be casualties. There's going to be stuff that's going to happen. Like there's going to be, it's going to get bad. And so when I saw this, man, and all the direct, like name calling and just calling people out, and I think it's it's on. Like the war, we're like kind of being coy and talking about like this war and this and that. But I think that's exactly what's happening to speak. It's like it's Christian hip hop in general. I feel like it's in trouble as far as the idea of what it is now, not the mission, but the idea. And so when I heard Ruslan, getting to what you actually asked me about, when I heard Ruslan mention you and I hit you, it was kind of like, I didn't know what to think. It kind of caught me off guard initially because he actually said your name. It was just like I'm just not used to that in, I guess, in what we do. Like, and I don't know if I look at that as necessarily like all the way a bad, because I don't think it was a diss. I do think that he was being very rapperish in his approach when he said the whole line about where is KJ, like where is KJ
right
now, like it's a side swipe. But I think that he was being a rapper when he was doing that. I don't think he has anything personally against you. But it was just the approach. And I know Ruslan is not like many artists. Like he's his own artist. But then going to Shaolin and just what he's doing, like the whole direct approach, a lot of people are going to be shocked by that. And a lot of things are going to be said that people don't agree with. But I think that that's the direction that things are heading. And it's kind of like all we can do is sit back and watch it burn. That's all we can do is sit back and watch it burn. Whit and I, Whit that produces for me, and we're really good friends. And we talked about this years ago, and he hit me right after everything was going on and was like, "Yo, we called this like a long time ago." And he said, "I'm just sitting back, and you just gotta watch it burn." And I agreed. It was like what else are we gonna do? But it's on. Like it has started. It has begun.
I think we need to queue up. I think we need to queue up the Rihanna Eminem song. Just gonna stand there.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. It has started, man. It has begun.
Well, can you say it started if this burning has happened at 5 billion points in this genre's history? Can you really say it started? Because I said, can you say that it's about to burn itself down when I've seen this exact same thing play out on multiple occasions over a 25-year span?
Right, but I don't think that in that time, in the same way a beef in the 90s or, in the mainstream world, a beef in the 90s or even early 2000s for that matter would be strictly on what we call wax or on record or, rhymes. But now you get to hear the record and then you get to hear the continuation of what was discussed on the record via visual platforms, via social media, in comments. Like it's like gasoline. Social media is the gasoline.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Everyone is invited to everyone's invited to the cafeteria fight.
Exactly.
No, dude, it's not a party, man. This is a junior high cafeteria fight in the middle of the lunch line.
Right. It's a fight. Like they're gonna be casualties, man. Like they're gonna be, and I use that terminology. I know it seems like extreme, but like really, people are gonna say stuff that, they're gonna get too comfortable in their skin, and some hurtful things are gonna be said, man. Like I believe some hurtful things are gonna be said, and this thing is just gonna lose the little bit of value that it does have right now in the public eye. Like it's gonna lose that. But again, there's gonna be. It always happens. There's gonna be a remnant of people that still operate, that still want to go out and do what they do for Jesus and for, the mission. And that's not going to change. But this whole industry stuff, like this success that we're seeing and this, the small infrastructure that exists now is about to be burnt. Like, it's going to be so hard, I feel like, for
You are always such a ray of sunshine. You are always just...
I'm sorry, bro.
I think you're the guy when the building burns down. You're like, well, let's go get the marshmallows.
I'm sorry, man. I want to be.
And again, going back to Eminem, you're the one that when they burned down the places in 8 Mile, you were like, it's kind of beautiful.
Yeah, I think some good is gonna come out of it. I think some good is gonna come out of it, bro. I really do.
Yes, fire does purify. That's for sure.
But it's gonna hurt.
I was gonna dive into what he said real quick, and then probably just go ahead and wrap it up here. But I thought it was interesting what he said, because a lot of people, I shouldn't say a lot, a few people were like, dude, what is he talking about? So he had basically said that I could have gone the KJ route, but I didn't. So where's KJ now?
Right.
And it was kind of, what he's referring to is, this is really the only time I've ever talked to him, is when I was in San Diego with Morph one time for one of our business events that I perform at. And he came through with Morph, because I know he was friends with Morph, and he was just kind of picking my brain about really just it seemed like he was wanting some advice, like how to navigate. And a big thing of what he was trying to navigate was trying, and this is, if I'm not mistaken, he was still in a group. So it was like the group dynamic, and I remember him saying, you know, I want to reach like mainstream college audience.
Yeah.
And so I kind of was like saying, well, you know, that's obviously a tougher market to hit when, you know, mostly that audience wants misogyny and they want to just get drunk, and there's not a lot of money in college kids. College kids don't have merch money. You know what I mean? There is a lot of money in colleges for shows, but I was like, you know, you're trying to break bread with three people. That really was what I was trying to say to him, was like, dude, anytime you have a group dynamic, you're splitting the pie by three ways, and I've just seen so many groups come and go because of that, or they just struggle financially for a long time. They never can turn the corner. Whereas if you're solo, you know, your expenses go down infinitely. You know, you can make the sacrifice. And so I think he kind of said in the line on the song, he goes, you know, KJ told me not to do this. It's kind of what he was saying. Like, it's almost like I was basically saying you couldn't do it, and he's kind of like, well, I did, in spite of what KJ said, and I didn't become a youth group rapper, and I made it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And again, without context of what I was saying, I would never tell anybody, dude, you can't make it. I would always, to my own detriment, is I've always been way too blunt and I never sugarcoat things. And and a lot of people have, you know, get discouraged by that. But I would rather, you know, I'd rather just lay it all out there and let you make your own choice. I would never say, this is what I think and you're not going to make it because of it. Unless I really just thought you couldn't do it. But I mean, anything can happen. I know that. And the market has changed considerably since I probably had that conversation with him. I don't remember how long ago it was, but it was definitely at least, I think, 5 years ago. Maybe longer.
Yeah.
But, you know, his statement in some ways does reflect, I feel like, Christian hip-hop's viewing of me. Like, I'm not on their radar because I've been around for so long. But I don't even know if I was really on the radar that much to begin with. And there is a degree of like...
and they view you... Go ahead, my man.
No, I was just saying. So, you know, the stigma of he's just a youth group rapper and he sold out to get the quick money and make church-friendly rap music. While there is some truth in that to an extent, it's like, dude, that is definitely not... That's definitely not accurate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, but whatever. I mean, again, I find just picking apart lyrics is such a freaking waste of time. Especially when you're in the midst of two people going back and forth over much more incendiary issues. But anyway, I just thought it was interesting. I guess if anything, I'm still ringing out here in these streets, bro.
Bro, you're still ringing. You're definitely still ringing. And
I'm joking.
Look, I want to say this before we get off. Like, I don't, and you said that I guess that's the only time that you've ever like really talked to Ruslan, and so I don't know if that's the only other interaction or the only thing he really knows about you other than that conversation, maybe from what he's heard from other people and their perspectives. But whenever I talk to people about you, and they do, if they do have that perspective of you being a youth group rapper, and that's it, like. I can say, and I try to paint this picture whenever I talk to somebody that's close to me, like, I've known you for a very, very long time. And initially, Like, I don't even think that didn't even cross my mind initially because I was so new to everything that was going on. But over time, you start to hear that. And whenever I hear that, I'm like, that's not it at all. Like, that's not, like, we've had conversations, and I know that, and even still, it's kind of like the pot calling the kettle black, essentially. It's kind of like, you know, how can you be mad at somebody for going this route, and then, or you're saying that somebody is trying to push you a certain way, and you're upset because, you know, you say, oh, everybody's different, but then you get mad at somebody else for going, you know, one way, but you just said that everybody's different, right? Not everybody's going to go that route that you go, and so.
Well, I can't say. I mean, he did preface his rhyme with saying no diss to KJ, and I think.
Right, and I'm not talking about him specifically. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just talking about. Yeah, I'm talking about in general. Like, just in general, that whole idea, like you said, KJ is a youth group, and they just chalk it up to, okay, this is who he is. But like, from what I know about you and know of you, like, your background is so much deeper than what people know. Like, people don't know. Like, and that's why, like, you're talking about the documentary, I think it's a perfect segue. Like, I really hope that you show, and maybe you're not, but I hope that you show the transition, you know, from that, you know, what I like to call the Feed magazine transition, from when.
Yeah, actually, no, we do talk about it quite a bit, actually.
Okay, because I didn't, you know, and even still, knowing you for so long, there was a lot of stuff I didn't know, and then, you know, when Alex and we were in Florida, and you took us around and showed us different, like, I didn't know all that stuff. I heard the stories, like, you know, on record, but you can't, it's only so much that you can say, but hearing it firsthand, and then, like, seeing the places, and then, you know, seeing where you, like, open up for, like, Wu-Tang, and, like, people don't know that side of things. And so the context is, like, really, really important. And I think people just chalk it up to, and like you said, you're very direct. And you talk about me just being the ray of sunshine. Sometimes you bring down the pain when you're very direct. You know what I'm saying? And it's not like, oh, yeah, I'm trying to push you this way. I'm not trying to push you this way. I'm just telling you that these are the cons. I'm going to start with the cons. These are the cons, and this is what you're going to run into. Not because I'm trying to deter you from that, but because I've experienced that, or I've thought about that, or I've tried it. You're like, people don't understand how practical you are, I think, and that you don't just pull stuff out of the sky. Like, it may be something that you actually experienced and felt at. You know what I'm saying? And so, that's
yeah, and probably something I haven't done well. I think probably something I haven't done well over the years is I have not beat my own drum loud enough.
Yeah.
But that's just not my style. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've always realized, like, my personal philosophy has always been let your work speak for itself. So,
yeah.
Rather than trying to, like, oh, I'm going to set the record straight about all this, it's like, whatever, man. If that's how you think I am, then that's fine, no problem. It really does not affect me. And it's better to even let other people talk about you than you have to go run in and be like, here's the deal. But anyway, here is the deal. I do need to jump off. Thank you for jumping in. I think we definitely could do maybe a part 2 on this at some point.
Yep.
Great thing about these discussions is they never actually resolve themselves.
Right. Absolutely.
But anyway, man, love you, bro. Thanks for jumping on here. Thanks for putting me up on this. This is episode 1 of the KJ podcast, and I hope you guys dug it.
Dope.
Peace out, man.